I'm here with P of Black Anvil to talk about Regenesis, out November 4th on Season of Mist. These guys are getting ready to hit the road on a huge tour with Cannibal Corpse. We'll talk about that later because first I want to talk to you about the record. But before that, how are you doing tonight?
Pretty good, man. We're on day 2 of rehearsals. This is the first time we're playing these songs as a full band. We recorded the record as a 3-piece. So welcoming to the fold, Alexander Volonino on guitar. We're getting everything straight, getting our ducks in a row, and putting some work in,
As you should. This tour is going to be absolutely massive. The Toronto date, which is when I'm going to see you guys, it's sold out, and I'm sure there's going to be plenty of sold out dates throughout this entire tour. But like I said, let's talk a little bit about Regenesis before we talk about the tour. And I want to ask you about specifically this record. What is the essence of Black Anvil that you see better represented in the experience that this album offers the listener?
I would say, the first record was written out of pure passion and pure, we threw the band together sort of via text message, and we're writing like one song per rehearsal. By the time the second record comes out, there's a little more focus, like to make a record. And also, now we're hungry and we're ready to go. Third record is, it's like watching a child grow, third record, Jeremy enters the program here, and now we're able to expand because we got a better musician than all of us, so now we're able to fly a little higher in the sky. With the last record, as was, we got to experiment and sort of do whatever the fuck we want and write a completely different record. Sonically, lyrically, everything is totally, we did what we wanted. And at this point, writing this record, I feel, and I believe everyone agrees, we sort of figured out a way to really, not that any of the other records were fat, but we found a way to trim the fat and be more precise. And like, in a way, how do you strip it down, but also still progress and write something better than you've written in the past, or, something as powerful, more powerful. And I don't know, I think we finally found something that is ours,
Is this progression just the growth that comes with being in the band and releasing 3 records previously, or there was some thought process going into building the band to get to this point?
These guys are also like brothers to me, and that's actually, for me personally, maybe not them, it's the most important part of the band is like the family aspect, like the brotherhood, the fact that we could finish each other's sentences at times, and just, we're always on the same page. And I love the people that I get to be creative with. And, I know Rafe over here, like 30 years, almost 30 years, 27 years we know each other. And again, if it wasn't for him, I wouldn't, I don't even know. I'd be working at a grocery store in Queens somewhere. So, yeah, I think the dynamic of just us as people and our journey is really what this record represents.
Speaking of journey, how was the specific journey putting this album together? Was it challenging? Was it a little bit smoother because of all the learning processes that you had from previous records?
I think it was smooth in the sense that, technology helps. We're not all living in the same place anymore, so we could email each other and bounce stuff off of each other. And when we get together, it's everyone sort of already knows what's going on, so that's easy. Some of the challenges I would say were maybe more internal, like how do we consciously write a natural record? How do we pay attention and find and split hairs a lot without, but also not try to sound like you're forcing something, or you're trying too hard to make a record sound this way or that way. and we had some good time. You know, the record was written before 2020, and then that happened, so we just sort of kicked back for a while. But at that point, it was done. We didn't change anything. So I'd say writing wise, you know, it's not much different than it's ever been, other than you have to challenge yourself to, you know, be creative.
The first thing I noticed about this record was that, by the way, every time I listen to the record, I feel like I'm listening to a different record because I'm finding something that I didn't find before, or I'm questioning what I thought I heard, but I didn't really hear. It's a really intriguing album from that point of view. It never really gets old. But one thing that stayed true was that it felt balanced, but not overly balanced. And what I mean by that is that the songs felt connected, but it's not like every song sounded the same. Every track has its own DNA, its own fingerprint. How do you find the balance between creating an album that feels like belongs together, each song belongs together, but not to the point that each song loses its own identity?
I think very good question. It's something we love to pay attention to. I'd compare, you know, structuring an album to sort of structuring a song. You know, like the way you write a song, let's say generically intro, verse, chorus, bridge, and, you know, I think structuring a track listing is almost the same thought process in my head, you know, as songwriting. You know, like a record needs to tell the same story that an individual song does, just on a bigger scale, you know. So trying to, you know, piece that puzzle together sometimes is challenges. Luckily, I don't think we've ever hit them. I don't think we have any snags in our history of like, this song should have been third or fourth. But yeah, if that makes sense, telling the story as if you were writing a song, but you're writing an album, you know, writing an album to have these waves and flows.
And that takes me to Silver and Steel. It's my favorite track on the album because it's so unique. It's so different. But I guess I'm not alone. I'm not alone. I'm definitely not alone. It blew me. That track blows me away every time I listen to it. And I have to ask you this. Was that song created to be where it is in the track listing, or was that the perfect spot for it after the creation of the song? Because it's a very interesting song, and I don't think you can put it anywhere else but where you put it on that record.
I would say the second just it's the perfect spot to put where you got it right. I don't think the other reason is I don't think it would come through. No, it wasn't all preordained like that, preconceptualized like that. I almost just told you what the song is about, but I'm very afraid to. So we're going to leave it to your interpretation since you love it so much. I'm curious what you get out of that and what you feel, how it relates to you, or why is it that that's your favorite?
Why is it my favorite?
Yeah.
The thing that caught me first was the clean vocals in terms of them being the predominant actor in terms of how the song is put together. Like the clean vocals are throughout the record, but I felt that on that song, they were on the forefront, creating a very melancholic approach to the track. And when I listen to that song, it takes me into a dark place, but somehow I'm comfortable in that darkness, if that makes sense to you.
Yeah, I think you got a good grasp.
Yeah, you know, there's always comfort in grief, you know?
Exactly how I felt listening to that track. Exactly.
That's how I felt for the last 3 years, man.
It's such a beautiful song in terms of how it's constructed, how it delivers, the sound, the clean vocals are phenomenal on that track, absolutely phenomenal on that track. And
how about that guitar solo?
And yes, I mean, the whole song is just really well constructed, really well delivered. And like I said, I don't think you guys could have put it in a better place to really break up the album and give you something to think about.
Yeah, there's one other slower track, the song NYC Nightmares. And, you know, I feel like if you look at like a big rock record or pop or rock or anything. You know, like you always have like the track 4, the track 7. That's always like the hit. You know, like I feel like when you sort of lift off, you get to like your cruising altitude. That's when you could hit with like your catchy radio song or something. You know, not that it's a radio song even remotely, but you know what I mean. I feel like you need to set the pace before you could drop something like that. That's almost like the top of the mountain, and then it starts to decline, you know?
I totally agree. I totally agree. And speaking of the vocals, because that song really pushes those clean vocals into the forefront, more as a, like I said, like as a main role versus a secondary actor. How do you approach the vocal, overall vocal design of the record when you have that ability to use the clean vocals, sometimes to create some atmosphere, to take you in a darker path, and then using the harsh vocals almost sometimes as a way of bringing everything that's on the inside to the outside? Do you have an overall vision of how you want them?
You know, some songs, what would you say, Rafe? Some songs just, there's the problem is we're always hearing melody everywhere, you know? So it's almost like a challenge to not be melodic at times, because you just can. There's times where, you know, stuff is laid out and I want to sing more. I have an idea. I hear something in my head and Rafe will, you know, nah, it's got to be screaming, you know, it's got to be aggressive.
Yeah, it's a very two-part. There's 2 actors in the play there, me and Paul helping each other, and everybody else with just the atmosphere. It kind of like when the songs are written, you almost feel what should go where. And we've been playing so long with each other that it's almost, you know, without giving away the whole scientific method, that we create these vocals and create this atmosphere and do something a little bit different. Not consciously, but because we want to. But it is different. We know that. It's just kind of, you know, a lot of the times the music comes first, and then it just vocally, things fall into place very, very easily nowadays. You know, and it took a few records. It took 4 or 5 records to get to where it's a little bit easier now. But atmosphere is always a big part of it. And I don't think it's a construed thing. I think it's just the music dictates in a very easy way where we can bring the vocals, you know?
Do you guys have a vision when it comes to the mix for where you want the harsher side of the vocals to come through and where you want the clean vocals to come through?
We're okay with that. I was gonna say, you know what? We don't have a fucking say in that mix anymore. We do. That's not true. But we really trust Tor. Necromorbus, who's done our last 2 records. We really trust him. So it's just a matter of like giving him, you know, the rough's always going to sound a little rough. We get real happy with the roughs because we love recording with Colin. You know, Men Go 1,000 Caves. That's where we did our last record.
The mix of clean and screaming, though, was the question.
Well, I mean, we kind of let Tor like get a first shot at that, and we just trust him so much. He just knows what to do. So he brings it back to us, and then we'll have a couple edits or something. But, you know, we work it internally, and then when we give it to Tor, it's almost like we're getting him to put the cake in the oven. We don't tell him what temperature to put it. We don't tell him how much cinnamon or sugar to put on top.
Just make it fucking good.
Just make that shit good. I
want
want to fucking eat that cake good and fucking share it with you fucks. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I don't want to hit him in the face with the fucking thing, because I will.
I'm done with whatever it is that you guys are putting in the oven at this point in time. I mean,
Thank you. Good, because we can see it in a couple days.
Yeah, I'm just happy with what came out of the oven. So I don't care what the ingredients are at this point in time. When it comes to the lyrical content, is that a one-man's job? Is that a team effort? How do you guys approach the creative standpoint of the lyrics?
Honestly, I'm going to be honest with you.
He asked you a question.
You're the first person that ever asked that question pretty directly. And I guess for the first time, maybe it comes out. I don't know if you know, but I write the lyrics. So when I write them and get the ideas, and then I give them to Paul, then we start bouncing things back and forth. I write the physical lyrics ever since day one. that's never come out before. That's a little weird. As you're asking that question, I'm not gonna lie to you. As you're asking that question, don't put all this shit in the fucking book either, all right? Take what you need to take. But when you ask that question, it's never really came out. So I'm writing most of the lyrics, and then we bounce off together and we come up with ideas for choral stuff. We come up with ideas for chanty stuff. If there's a part where we need an extra word or an extra lyric, or we don't like this, they'll tell me. But you're the first person to know that. So, you know,
I appreciate it.
It's a little weird. It's a
We-
little
we-
weird.
I feel like we just got very personal, and even though I'm not in the room, I feel like I just had like a men hug or a bear hug of some sorts.
He,
And that's-
he
You're kind
could,
of
he,
right.
I think
I'm getting a little fucking tensed
he
up now
needs one.
because
He
you know
needs
what?
one.
I don't know how to fucking answer that question. Nobody's ever asked us that before. Not that directly. So what was the question again? Go ahead, it's me again.
No, I was just curious about how the lyrical creation came about, the process that you guys took, which you delivered.
These guys
This record.
These guys give me the music. I mean, we weren't all together. I was alone a lot of the time where I wasn't around Jeremy. I wasn't around Paul because of, geographical location. Everybody moved. We had pandemic. But, I'll get in the zone. I'll start thinking about what I want to write about. I'll start thinking about how angry and pissed off I am. And then I'm going to kind of mold it to kind of where I think the song should go. It's honestly pretty easy. But then when it comes out, got to give it to everybody, get sure everybody's okay with it. And then everybody puts the little salt and pepper on top of the linguine, and then we can go with it. You know what I mean? But I write all the lyrics.
Wow, we got the street goods.
In a way, I was going to say, what's the zine or what's the online thing you write for?
This is
Just kidding. I can't wait.
it's for YouTube. I have a YouTube channel where we do music reviews, album reviews, all sorts of stuff like that.
Cool. Next question for Paul. I'm done with you.
Okay, man.
You let me. I gave out too much information. Now I feel real insecure. I feel like my balls are a bag of nickels right now. Okay.
Show. All right.
Okay, let's talk about guitars then, because I think that's a safe topic, right? Talk about some guitars. Now, great guitar sound, great texture. I love the movement that the guitars have, going from a little bit more thick sounding to a little bit more driven sound. What's your approach? Like, what's your thought process when you start working on this record in terms of what do you have in mind for your guitars and how you want them to sound on an album?
Well, I've been playing the same model guitar and amps for a long time. So on that side, not much changes. It's just a matter of, the approach changes. So maybe I want more of on this record, we went with more of a raw guitar sound, a little less thick at times and more just kind of in your face because the song dictates it. And that's kind of how all three of us approach everything we play as individuals, is just what can I do to get the most out of this sound and get the other two guys to, get inspired. So in turn, I don't know, what do you want to know about gear or artistic approach or like what?
Yeah, just the approach in terms of, did you change any of the gear from the previous record to this one?
I added, well, typically I'll record all the rhythm stuff through two guitar amps at the same time, going through two different cabinets. In this album, we added a third one. So I guess, I used an Ampeg VL102 and my EVH 5150, which is also my live amp.
I was going to ask, is that what you're taking on the road on the tour?
Well, you'll actually both, because Alex is playing my Ampeg and I'm playing the EVH 5150. And then Colin had an Ampeg, I think it's like one of those solid state ones from the 90s that all the death metal guys use. And we kind of threw that in underneath for some texture. And I think it really kind of added to the groove.
Yeah, it definitely did.
As far as guitars, it's Gibson Les Pauls. And then for some of the clean stuff, you hear like on Silver and Steel, the clean stuff is like a Fender Telecaster. One is going through a Roland Jazz Chorus, the other's going through a Fender Twin Reverb.
Wow, you guys are able to make that sound feel, or at least to me when I'm listening to it, it sounds so direct. I hate to use the word simple, but it's very direct. But it's not direct when you're making it and when you're creating. So that showcases the quality of the musicianship that goes into making these tracks.
Thanks.
It really does. Honestly, it really does. So you guys are tuning up for the tour. What's your expectations? What do you guys expect this tour to deliver for Black Anvil?
Expect to have great hangs with our very good friends Immolation, and then we get to meet Dark Funeral, we've all obviously known about for a long time, and then we get to watch the Kings of Death Metal every night close the show. And in terms of what we want to get out of it, we're going to be debuting our new songs and getting in front of a lot of people that probably haven't seen us before, which is a great opportunity.
How much? Last question for you guys. I don't want to take too much of your time tonight, and I don't want to piss off anybody else because I'm going to see you guys in Toronto, and I don't want to get beaten up anywhere near the venue. It would be embarrassing for a man of my age. How much of the new album Regenesis is going to be part of the set list?
I'm sorry?
How much of Regenesis is going to be part of the set list?
Whole set. You
Really?
get 30 minutes of new shit.
It's all new songs for the set.
Wow. Okay, now I'm hyped. It's Silver and Steel part of the set list?
Fortunately not.
Yeah.
Yeah, we had to curb it for the
We have 30 minutes, so we're just trying to go out there and blast and kind of, it's a very fast and hard set for the most part. So
yeah, but
we're
you
going to be
also have
playing
to,
singles that you heard before the record came out, and then a couple other surprises.
yeah, but you guys also have to think about the lineup in general and create a set list that's going to kind of work with the overall feel of the.
I've actually always been opposed to writing a set list that goes with the flow. I've always wanted to throw in, like on other tours, the title track of our last album. I was like, fuck that. We're us. Why should we just play the heavy shit because we're out with this guy? I would always think like that. Fuck that. Make them see what we're about.
Yeah.
In this case, Silver and Steel is just, we get more bang for the buck leaving out a song like that.
Yeah, if we had like a longer set time, we would probably add more dynamic stuff like that and include some stuff from previous albums. But the record drops on day 2 of the tour, and we're really proud of the tour, of the record.
And the tour.
And we're proud to be on the tour, frankly. But
Really proud of you.
We're gonna get all new shit.
So we're gonna get all new shit, and we're excited to play it. And as much as we love playing for an audience, especially one that Cannibal will bring, we're just as excited to play with each other after not being together for quite a few years now. So that's what we're doing.
I said that was the last question, but I have one more for you guys. For everybody that's catching you guys on this tour, what are you guys bringing as far as merch is concerned? Can people pick up the new record on the merch stand? Like, what can fans get hooked up with when it comes to Black Anvil?
New album is
stock.
sitting in boxes right behind us as we speak. So
wait till you see the new merch.
yeah, so we'll have quite a spread.
Something for all seasons.
That's good.
Yeah, buy the hat.
That's good because, fans want to support you guys, and I want to pick up some shit myself as well. And it's important these days. I mean, it's hard to make it out there as a musician. Cost of gas, all of that stuff. I mean, it's not like I'm telling you something you don't know. So I just wanted to plug in your merch there, so let people know to come out to the merch stand and support you guys during this tour.
Appreciate Thank you. And you're all set for the show? You need a list spot or what?
No, I'm all good. Katie took care of me already, so I'm all good. I'll be seeing you guys in Toronto. Like I said, it's a sold-out show, so expect the place to go rocking, and I'm looking forward to hearing you guys play the tracks from the new album. I absolutely adore this record, so I may bring one of my wife's bras to throw it on stage because even though I have big boobs, I don't have one. So I may do something like that. I don't know. We'll see.
I think
if you want to wait till after the show, we could, we'll get together. We'll all sing Silver and Steel to you.
Dude, after the show, I'll buy you guys a round of drinks. It's on me, and we'll just hang.
With that blue.
We'll take you up. We will take you up on that.
Hey, whatever you guys want. A round of drinks is on me after the show.
Thanks,
right.
thanks, brother.
Appreciate
I'll
it.
see you
Luckily,
guys-
only two guys
When
drink.
I mean
so
after the show, I mean after your set, because if we wait until after the show, the bar is closed, and I don't want to seem like, like I'm screwing you guys off of a drink. So after your set, I'll meet you guys at the merch stand. Around is on me, 100%. I'll see you guys there.
Thank you so much for everything. Thank you
All
for your
right, guys,
time.
take care. All the best. I'll see you in Toronto.
all right.
Hey, Pedro, thank you.
See you guys.